We'll go again.
That may be just a little loud. Seemed awfully loud on mine.
Kwa njia mema na tukakawa sasa na mwili mzuri.
Lo primero es un agradecimiento y lo otro es pedirle que sigan apoyando este tipo de iniciativas porque mucha gente lo necesita.
Thank you very much for Crop Hunger World, Raise Money for Timor Zero Hunger.
Hii kazi yote ambayo tumefanya hapa, tumefanya na kusaidiwa na kikundi cha CWS, ndio wametushikilia na wametufanya mambo mazuri kwa sababu ndio wametusaidia kupanda na kutupa maarifa. Asante.
For the funniest guy I know, and I want to thank you for 39 years of all the laughing.
Or Secret Santa is one.
And we're real?
What makes New South Window different?
Oh, big one.
We're going to wait just maybe a couple of minutes and just start our program, give a few more people an opportunity to get on. But thank you all for coming this morning. We would like to ask everyone to mute themselves, please, so we're not getting background noise and things like that. Thank you very much. All right, welcome everybody. Glad you were able to come to your wherever you are on this cold and chilly morning. We are sharing temperatures with Ohio this morning a little bit. Andrew's temperature has just gotten up to the 20s, and we were down in the 20s. So thank you for being here. We're going to talk a little bit about how we're going to do the walk this year. This year, we're going to have a hybrid walk, and we will have more information about that later. Kathy's going to be talking about that and what that means. We are going to try and have an in-person walk at Camp Mabry, but right now that's kind of uncertain. For those of you who have just joined us, if you could just mute yourself, please, during the first part or during the presentation. Thank you. As I said, we're going to try and have an in-person walk at Camp Mabry again this year, and we will be offering other ways to be a part of the walk. But how does our COVID stage in Travis County affect this? We're all kind of wondering with the stage 5 designation right now, what are we going to do? As a committee, we have decided that keeping people safe is the most important aspect of what we're going to do this year. If we have the in-person walk, we're going to do many things that are a little bit different to keep everybody safe. If we're still in stage 4 or 5 here in Travis County, we are going to cancel the in-person part of the walk and use that horrible word pivot and pivot to a virtual walk instead. We're going to notify all the team captains about this decision mid-February so you can make plans on how you're going to conduct your walk at your particular location. You know, even though or however we have the walk, we always know that what we're doing is very important because the need is greater than ever. As you know, yesterday marked the discovery of the first COVID case in the US 2 years ago. As we hear from Central Texas Food Bank, in our community, more people are finding that they need food assistance for the first time due to pandemic-related job instability, lingering illness, supply chain issues, and now inflation. Globally, more and more people are challenged by climate change shifts in crop growing patterns, displacement as a result of war, and sudden emergencies such as the volcano we saw erupt this week in Tonga. This is why the funds you and your teams raise are more needed and more important than ever. Now, however we have the walk, whether it's in person or whether we choose to do a walk by ourselves or with a team, we want you to have fun, and we're going to talk about some of the ways you're going to be able to do that. We even have some special incentives later on that Kathy will talk about later on. And we will have a question and answer session at the end of this session. So if you will put your questions in the chat or save them till the end, we'll try and answer your questions later. We also are recording this session and we'll put it up on the Austin Crop Hunger Walk YouTube channel, and it will be available later for you to see. So thank you very much for coming today. And I'm going to turn this over to Kathy, and she's going to talk to you about the walk.
Good morning. Go ahead and remember that one of the important things for people to do is to register online. Having people register online rather than registering in person is one of the ways to keep us safe. So we're going to be talking about how this is a community event, even while we're in a pandemic. And always remembering that the reason we walk is to end hunger for everyone, and that the need is still very great, like Diane mentioned. So if you can switch to the next slide, Diane, for me. So we're talking about hybrid, and I'm sure you've heard that word frequently, Neil. What it means for us is we will have both an in-person walk at Mabry. And if you don't feel comfortable gathering, no matter how many people there are, we will also be holding a virtual or a satellite walk, sometimes called satellite walk. We don't have to be physically in the same place at the same time to do good. So first, we're going to talk about the virtual or the satellite walk, an opportunity for you to be creative. You could figure out to doing something in a different location at a different time. Maybe you couldn't walk on Sunday anyway, and if a different activity. And thank you, very well done. So some examples of what we talk about here. And this is actually what we did last year, is we had only a virtual satellite walk. So one group last year, one church last year, everyone gathered at a very safe social distance, and they walked around their parking lot. Other people walked in their neighborhood or walked at a park. People did other activities. A small group of youth did gardening. So they offered up their gardening time for people to sponsor. On the Austin Crop Hunger Walk page are some suggested maps of other walks that you could do. The Breast Concert Group created these, and I stole them from their webpage, but they look pretty good to me. And they're also on that page is a YouTube of someone walking down a trail in Italy, which if you decide to do your walk on a treadmill, it was really kind of cool to watch it, to see the sea off to the left. You're not going to have that in Austin. Down Lake just doesn't cut it. One thing we recommend is that you decide ahead of time what you're going to do and where you'll walk or do your other activity. You wait till the last minute. It's one of those things, at least for me, that it just doesn't happen. But one thing you could do, if you think about this, is use it as a fundraising idea. Maybe you've been telling people, I need to wash the windows in my house, and I've been meaning to do that for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, in my case, a couple of years. And you can then say, hey, I'm going to wash my windows. I know I've been complaining about this for years. Sponsor me for the crop walk, and I will wash my windows on that day. Any ideas you have about the walk, go ahead and post them. Something you do may inspire somebody else to do. So, virtual walk. If we decide to only do the virtual walk, and also because we want to connect the people that are physically walking with the people that are not physically walking. So there'll be somehow, we haven't figured out exactly the details on this, but we'll have a step off on March the 6th at 2:15. There'll be a Zoom link. It'll be emailed to the team captains and any of the registered walkers at that time. As I mentioned, you could post videos of your walk. Last year, a man, sorry, I don't remember his name, was walking, and as he walked along, he posted a video of him walking in his neighborhood. And wear your crop shirt. maybe people in the neighborhood will say, what is that? What is CROP? And then you have an opportunity to get more sponsors and shed more information. Okay, so if you are actually in person at Camp Mabry with us, of course, like Diane mentioned, we want to keep this to be safe but fun. We're going to emphasize social distance on this, no matter where we are with COVID at that time. Again, register online, but if you forgot or your computer went down or anything else, or you've collected funds you want to donate, you want to drop off at that time, and we'll talk about where to drop them off later in the presentation, you may do that. We'll have a tent just like usual. So we tried to be creative for on our end also. We're going to have an open start. That means instead of a big kickoff, you can start anytime between 1 o'clock and 2:30. So we won't have everybody gathered together, but you will be able to see people walking around. So while we're not physically in a big group, we'll still be physically seeing a lot of people. The ACC students that used to have the educational activity tables, their teacher has moved on to a different job. So, but we felt this is very important to have both the education and a fun activity. And First United Methodist Church has offered to come through and do a scavenger hunger hunt for us. And what this is going to be is at the beginning, you'll get a paper or a card with questions. And as you walk along, the answers will be along the walk. And you'll be able to do that and get a little prize of some sort at the end if you participate. And there will also be some activities as you walk. The Results is a nonprofit group that specializes or emphasizes writing members of Congress. This year, what they're writing for is to ask senators to sponsor the Global Malnutrition Prevention and Treatment Act. Okay, so how are we going to do tables and chairs and people writing letters? Well, we're going to have chairs and we're going to have clipboards. So we had a lot of opportunities for doing something a little different this year. But we will have refreshments. The real reason I go to the walk to get my graham crackers covered with chocolate. Those are my favorites. And the woman who's in charge of that has told me she knows exactly what to do to keep everyone safe. Again, wear your CROP t-shirt to show solidarity. All right, you may have heard we're going to have a new route. And here's the new route, and I'll go over this map in just a second for you. It's going to be a different route, but it'll be easier and clear. It's the same amount of distance, 2.4 miles. It's all on one level. No negotiating that horrible hill anymore, but we will have trees just like we did before. They're different trees. They're some absolutely gorgeous trees every time I go through there. Diane, you've got the control of the cursor there. Can you move it up to the P at the top? Maybe, there it is. And move it around. So I don't know where your cursor is right now. Anyway, at the top of this map, there's the letter P, and that's for parking. There's a surprise. And you're going to be parking the same place you were parking, in front of those long, low buildings. The X is where the tent will be. The X is going to be where the tent and the big globe will be. So as you walk up from parking, walking in the same direction like you used to walk, you will see the tent, and that's where you can register or drop off funds. And then you will start and you will walk towards MOPAC. You will walk, I'm wanting to use my finger, but that doesn't help because I don't have the PowerPoint in front of me. Anyway, you'll walk along MOPAC, along the road there, walk around, walk keep going, keep going, keep going. On the bottom part of your screen, you can see those trees, and there's those gorgeous trees that were there. There's the mouse. Okay, and when we get back to where we used to start, which is at the reviewing stand, yeah, thank you. Circle that for us. Yeah, okay, there. I hope you can see that. Then we will then move on to the track and just follow the track like we did last year and previous years. We followed the track first. This time we're going to do it last. When you finish with the track, you'll exit, and then refreshments will be on your right, and the results people will be further on your right. And then you will keep going down the road back to your car. So we're trying to keep everybody as safe as we can, and as but while still having fun and seeing each other. If you can back up to there you go. And if you can highlight the Texas Military Forces Museum, maybe. Oh, there you go. There's a museum there. It will be open from 10 till 4. It's a very interesting museum. I went there one time, and the gentleman who was minding the desk gave us a tour, but it does take probably a half hour. So please finish your walk and then go back to the museum, because we would like to be finished with our part of the walk by 4. Okay, next, Diane, please. All right, so there's some things, well, we need to get people excited about this and learn more about it. So we have some pre-walk resources. There'll be the quizzes. Fanny Pack from Church World Service is the prize you may win this year. There's videos. There'll be a virtual scavenger hunger hunt. Whether or not you are able to attend the walk, we will have a scavenger hunger hunt. Sorry, it's hard to say that. And it will be, we're working on exactly how that works, but you will be able to do a scavenger hunt of things related to hunger and related to what Church World Service Crop does at home or in your neighborhood. Okay. So one of the ways you can invite your friends and neighbors, oh, I do this every year, come on over and see some of these videos. The hunger quizzes, just like last year, we'll have their new quizzes, and there'll be one a week for the 4 Sundays in February. They'll be posted on both the Facebook page. Emily, I see your question. I'll answer that in a second. There'll be 4 Sundays and Sundays. It will be on both the Facebook page and on the Austin Crop Hunger Walk page. Everybody who participates, your name will be put in a drawing, and 4 people will win a fanny pack. It's a nice little pack. Too bad I can't put my name in. Another thing you might be able to do is convert a yard sign into the Crop Hunger Walk sign. The instructions to do that are on the Austin Crop Hunger Walk page. Raise $150 or more and get a small flag. And guess where you go to claim that? Same place, the Austin Crop Hunger Walk page. That page has links to all this information and more. And I talked about the online scavenger hunt. And I think that was everything I had. Emily, you asked about the surface. It's a concrete surface. It's a road surface. It's not gravel. It's not like the track is a track surface, which is nice, but it's a track. So it should certainly be wheelchair friendly. And I think that's it. We'll answer other questions at the end. You're muted, Diane.
All right. Some of you have already picked up a packet last week, and we're going to talk about what's in the bag. There are lots of printed materials and posters that are available for you to use within your church or your building and with your congregation. If you need more of those, let us know. There are Walker envelopes for those people who like to collect funds in person. There are financial instructions about what to do with the money once you collect it all. There's some wristbands and a few other little doodads that you can use either to give to people as incentives or pass them out to folks in your congregation. And there are a few other things. So you can find any of the forms and many of the posters at the Austin Crop Hunger Walk site, or if you go to Church World Service and look for Crop Walk resources, you can find a lot of them there. If you want a bag and haven't picked one up, contact me, Diane Baker, at dianebakerucc@gmail.com. And I'll be happy to do a porch drop. You won't even have to see me. I can drop it off at any time if you'll just let me know when and where. Okay. Next, we're going to hear from one of our local partners, one of our biggest supporters, the Central Texas Food Bank.
I was very fortunate to never need help before. Well, with the coronavirus coming about,
Hey, Diane, I think we're having issues with the sound. I think we're having sound issues. I think you're muted, and so I'm wondering if that's causing us to not be able to hear it.
Let me go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's great.
I was very fortunate to never need help before. Well, with the coronavirus coming about, I had to quit my job. I have a tumor in my lung. I can't work. The type of job I had, I literally went to different businesses. So it was just putting myself at risk way too much. It was my responsibility to feed our family. And I know there's only 2 of us, but my husband can barely pay the bills now. So it's amazing. I don't think we would have food if it wasn't for this.
At the Central Texas Food Bank, we have completely changed our food handling and distribution model in order to serve the skyrocketing need caused by COVID-19. That means that we're having to buy more food at or near retail prices in order to meet this growing demand. How do we do it? With the help from individual supporters and community partners who donate their time, their food, and their funds. Farmers, retailers, and manufacturers donate food, keeping it out of landfills and putting it into the hands of families in need. Foundations and government programs provide support for our food programs. Thanks to our purchasing power and partnerships, we can stretch $1 into providing 4 meals. With help from our community, we're able to serve tens of thousands of Central Texans each week through a network of about 300 partner agencies, like local food pantries, or community centers, or our own food distribution programs, such as our mobile food pantry programs, children's and senior food programs. We also help families stretch their budgets by providing assistance with applying for federal programs and by providing opportunities for nutrition and gardening education. Additionally, our certified culinary training program gives students a jump To the resources our community provides, we're able to distribute millions of meals to our neighbors in need every single year.
Crop Hunger Walk has been working with us for more than 35 years to help bring nutritious meals to our neighbors here in Central Texas, and we are so incredibly grateful for their support. From Crop Hunger Walk 2021, we were able to provide around 46,394 meals to families in need. With support like theirs, we can continue to provide food through our network of partner agencies and mobile food pantries across 21 counties in Central Texas. All of us here at Central Texas Food Bank are so grateful for Crop Hunger Walk's support, and we are so excited for next year's walk. Thanks, Crop Hunger Walk.
Thank you, Zara. Zara is one of our committee members, and we really appreciate everything she does. And now Nancy and Kevin will talk to you a little bit about our what fundraising will look like and what to do with your funds.
Good morning, everybody. I think I met a lot of you actually at last week's packet pickup, so that was fun in the breezy weather. Basically, it's a lot like last year in terms of the financial instructions. Hopefully you will be able to turn in some money on the walk day at Camp Mabry. But if that doesn't happen and we're not able to gather, at Mabry, we will arrange a couple of places, locations, probably the two churches, but did packet distribution, where you can drop off your funds. And just know that I am more than happy to contact you guys, or you guys contact me, and I will meet you anywhere that's convenient. That we did a lot of that last year with the completely virtual walk, and that seemed to work very well. I work Midtown and live north, so hopefully we can figure out something like that that will work. And then after the walk, we know that sometimes by March 6th you may have the majority of your money, but there's always other stuff that comes in. So you can also do donation drop-offs on the 13th. That date is already set in time. Please look over the financial instructions. It has my contact information, phone, email. If you mail, obviously, anything to me, please don't mail cash. Just write a check for any cash substitutions. Put that little note in the corner of the check. Or again, I'm happy to pick up cash checks, anything. And by meeting you somewhere or whatever, or on the 13th, bring whatever, and we'll get it all sent off to Elkhart. Are there any instant questions or anything? Or Kevin, what am I not remembering to say here?
That the one thing I'd add to that in terms of getting your funds in is that the packet that Diane referred to a little earlier has an treasurer instruction sheet. And if you don't have, if you're not interested in getting the packet of materials, we can certainly email to you those instructions. So you have that in front of you. And because, what you hear today come mid-March, you may not recollect, right? So we're happy to send those instructions to you to help you out with that. In terms of just then the front end, because with getting funds in, particularly with Nancy, we're speaking about anyone who's has cash and checks. Can't emphasize enough that online fundraising is the way to go. If you have folks who want to give with cash and checks, absolutely don't try to make them do something that they don't want to do in terms of making a donation online. But online fundraisers in general raise more than folks who are not online. So we do encourage you to register and fundraise online. And something that augments that is Facebook fundraisers. When you are setting up your page as an online participant, you have an option to set up a Facebook fundraiser. And what our experience has been in the last year or so is that folks who raise funds online in general raise more than folks who don't do that. And folks who raise funds online and add a Facebook fundraiser raise more funds than anyone else. So
I
I
can
don't remember.
absolutely confirm that, Kevin. Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that up, because I've encouraged people to do that. It was amazing to watch the numbers come up last year, and the platform is the same this year. I failed to mention that too, that the online platform is the same as we had last year. So there shouldn't be any surprises dealing with that. And, you know, on turning in cash and checks, sorry, I just wanted to say it before I forgot because I have short-term memory issues. Just kidding, hopefully. But basically that don't ever forget to mention in anything you send to me what congregation or your group the funds are from, so we can credit the funds to the right group.
And so I'm sitting here talking to you about Facebook fundraisers and all of that. And if you haven't done that before, you may be going, sounds complicated. When you're registering, I think you'll find that setting up a Facebook fundraiser is pretty darn easy. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me about that. I mean, let's have a great fundraising walk this year.
Okay, we are so lucky to have Andrew Gifford here from Church World Service, and Kevin has a few words to say about him.
Yes, so here I am, I'm talking to you about Austin Prop Hunger Walk, and that probably, I mean, that seems like something that's fairly familiar to me for sure, and I hope with many of you who've been part of the Crop Hunger Walk before in Austin. Nevertheless, it is true, believe it or not, I did retire at the end of 2021. Church World Service did agree to give me a contract to help work on the Austin Walk specifically, but they also assigned a staff person to oversee the walk, and that is Andrew Gifford. And Andrew was a great colleague. He is a great friend. He has 8 years of experience in organizing Crop Hunger Walks. He's organized a whole lot of them. And so anything I've said to you, Andrew is familiar with. I'd also say to you that one of his walks is in Columbus, where Andrew resides, in Columbus, Ohio. And the Columbus and Austin walks in a lot of ways have a lot in common. One of the things they have in common is that there have been several times when our planning team here in Austin has met via Zoom with the Columbus planning team. And so our planning team has been familiar with Andrew. Andrew, in fact, visited and was at an Austin walk back in 2019. And so he's even been to our walk, and he's got some familiarity with it. And I'm thrilled personally that the senior managers of Church World Service decided that Andrew was the staff person to assign to Austin. And I want to introduce him to you and tell you that I'm just delighted that Andrew is with us as we move forward. So Andrew, there you go.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be with all of you. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. For me personally, like Kevin said, I'm based in Columbus, Ohio, but I do plan to getting to Texas from time to time, all things considered. I mean, I haven't gotten much anywhere the last couple of years, as I know most of us haven't. Oh, thanks, Kevin. I was going to actually do that. So Kevin put my email address in the chat. So if you want to reach out directly, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email. Very, very excited. Just a little bit of background about myself. I grew up in the United Methodist Church. My dad's actually clergy in the East Ohio Conference. Don't hold that against me if you're not Methodist or if you're whatever, but no, just kidding. But no, and I still am involved and active and in my church up here in Columbus. And I'm just really excited to be able to work with all of you, take some of the experiences that I've learned, the knowledge that Kevin's shared with us as my supervisor the last few years. And so I'm just really excited to be with all of you. But that being said, I'm actually going to share a little bit. We talked a lot about fundraising, and I always like to emphasize, and I know Kevin has always talked about this too, but the why, the reason we do the fundraising is to help our neighbors in need. And Church World Service, obviously, as you know, continues to help our most vulnerable neighbors. We've been responding to recent disasters like that in Kentucky and Arkansas with tornadoes. We've been helping with the emergency resettlement of Afghan refugees. And you can read all about all of that. But something that I think is really inspiring are stories of us just being in the communities and still striving to do that despite all the challenges that we've had the last couple of years, and helping to uplift members of the community. So I want to tell you one of those stories. Actually, in a small rural community in Cambodia, lived a woman named Chom Haun. I believe I looked that up and pronounced it correctly. And Haun and her husband actually lived on a small property where they tried to farm the land to help to provide for their 3 small children, and really struggled. They struggled to make ends meet. It was not an easy situation for them in the slightest. Our team in CWS colleagues over there in Cambodia identified them and identified Haun specifically as someone who could benefit from our Promoting Better Lives program there in Cambodia. And so through that program, she was actually able to attend some classes on, believe it or not, mushroom farming. I didn't realize that was a thing before I had heard this story, but I think it was really cool. And the neat thing about mushroom farming is it requires very little space, and the resources that you need to grow mushrooms are actually very little. You don't need that much soil, you don't need that much water, you just need kind of a damp environment. And apparently she really took to it. Haun really was able to grow her business exponentially, very, very rapidly, to the point where she was able to sell her mushrooms rather than just feeding her family, to diversify, because obviously you're not going to just eat mushrooms. So she was able to sell her mushrooms, buy other produce for her family. And beyond that, not just feeding her family now, which was a struggle before, she was able to save up enough money that now all 3 of her children are able to attend school, which is a huge milestone for her family. So we not only, through your steps in the Crop Hunger Walk and the funds you raise, were able to provide her with livelihood, but what we've been able to do is truly provide hope for her family, hope for a future, and hope for a future for her children too. So thank you for the funds you raise. As you run into hangups potentially as things go on, because obviously that stuff happens, as you're signing up online or there's things like that, just remember that there are people whose lives are so positively impacted by that. And for me, at least, whenever I'm getting frustrated with things, that's the reminder that I need to keep going and to keep trying new things to truly make a better world. So thank you for that. Like Kevin said, feel free to email me. I'm going to actually drop the link for this story in the chat. So that way, if you want to share it with your congregations, you'd be more than welcome to do that.
Thank you, Andrew. We are really thrilled to have Andrew on board and be able to work with him. If we can't have Kevin, we're really glad we have Andrew. And as you know, 25% of the money raised stays right here in Austin. It's really important for our local partners. We've been told by Central Texas Food Bank that that they have fundraisers from a lot of organizations throughout the year, but they can always count on Crop Hunger Walk to be a steady source of income that they just know that will be there every year. And we're so happy to be a resource for them. We are also working this year with Refugee Services of Texas, who are settling Afghan refugees here in our community. The Sustainable Food Center, which works to show people how to grow their own food and how to use food on a budget. Manos de Cristo provides a lot of services in the community, and a lot of you who are Presbyterians have worked with Manos de Cristo before. They have provided us with a YouTube link that you'll see there that tells about their dental services program and how they've adapted it during COVID. And then we were working with 3 local food pantries: Austin City Lutherans Bread for All, Hope Food Pantry, and Mount Olive Food Pantry. And Austin City Lutheran has provided us with a.
Hi, everybody. This is Tim Anderson, Lutheran pastor and director of Austin City Lutherans. We're getting ready for a distribution here at Bread for All Food Pantry on a Monday afternoon. We really appreciate the Crop Walk supporting Bread for All this coming year. So at Bread for All this past year, we've had an outside distribution during the pandemic, and we serve between 50 to 60 to 70 individuals and families every week. And we've also been able to do an expanded type of service with rent assistance and also grocery card giveaways. And we will keep at it because we know that this food pantry is going to be needed for some time to come. So thanks again for your support at the Crop Walk, and we look forward to participating in the event in the spring of 2022.
So you know your money is going to places that carry a lot of goodwill to the community and a good service to the community, and keep people fed, keep refugees safe, and really do a lot of good work here. We also want to thank our walk sponsors. We couldn't do, especially the in-person part of the walk, without their help. Our gold sponsor this year is HEB. They've always been a great partner to us, and we thank them very much. The Helen S. and John J. McKetta Jr. Charitable Foundation is a silver sponsor for us. They're a new sponsor this year, and we thank them very much for joining us in this. And we have 4 educational sponsors: BAI LLC, Steve Vinkrelek, a State Farm insurance agent, the KJT 1112 fellowship, and then there was an anonymous donor. So we certainly appreciate and thank all these folks who are helping us get this going. We do want to thank you for attending today and leading your teams to success. We know that sometimes, especially if you're doing a virtual walk, sometimes you need a lot of resources that you might not know where to go. So here is a list of things. We have the Austin Crop Hunger Walk Facebook page, and it will start becoming more active beginning in February. We're going to have a lot of resources on that page that you can turn to, a lot of suggestions. You can go to our YouTube channel, and the link's right there. Church World Service has Crop Walk resources, and they have everything from team captain resources to videos to social media posts that you can do. And so, you know, it's really worth taking a look at that. And then, of course, we have our own local Austin Crop Hunger Walk webpage, and everything you need really will be in that resource right there. So for those of you who are confident right now and don't have any questions, you know, if you feel like you would like to leave, you can, but we will take a look at our chat and see what's what the questions were. Okay, we have in the chat the link to the Facebook page. And a thank you to First United Methodist for setting up the scavenger hunt. And the events link. And Emily, did you get your question answered about the service part, the surface for the route? Yes, okay. Let's see. My email. Kevin wanted to remind us that Church World Service has resettled 5,000 Afghan refugees in the past 4 months. A very important effort that Church World Service is making. And I know if you're a Disciples church, I attended a Disciples webinar about refugee resettlement, and they had more than high praise for Church World Service and all their efforts. They really worked with them closely. There's the link to the story, and the local recipients are listed online, and also the sponsors. And we could, yes, we can email the link for the resources page to all the team captains. So, are there any other questions from anyone? No? Okay. Well, thank you.
Diane, I do
Yes.
want to say one thing.
Yes.
While we will definitely send that link, because the resources page has an enormous amount of things on it. I do want to point out that the Austin Crop Hunger Walk page has links for everything we talked about today. So if you're saying, where is that? It's there somewhere. It includes the link to the Facebook and the YouTube pages. So just for your information.
All right. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us, and we really appreciate all your efforts towards the Austin Crop Hunger Walk. Please, even if you're not a Facebooker, try to link up to the Facebook page, because we're going to have a lot of information coming along on the Facebook page for starting in February. And also, it's a good place if you have questions to ask, you can ask it, and it'll benefit other people in the group. So thank you so much for attending today, and we will see you, hopefully, fingers crossed. They said hospitalizations were coming down yesterday, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that things are going to get better by March 6th. And thank you, Andrew, for attending today. Thank you, Kevin, and for all that you've done for us the last, I don't know, however many years. How many years? A lot.
28.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you on March 6th. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.